Let's talk Sherlock. Some of my favorite stories growing up were that of the legendary detective Sherlock Holmes. And we had this beautiful book that contained all the... Wait, hold on a second. It's this book. This book right here. Look at this. Beautiful. This thing has got the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the memoirs of Sherlock Holmes, the return of Sherlock Holmes. It even has the Hound of the Baskervilles. See? Look. Hound of the Baskervilles. I have read this thing cover to cover multiple times in my lifetime. I certainly didn't understand everything I was reading, particularly when I was younger. But that didn't stop me from reading it. I mean, we're talking about a book here. Of course I'm going to read it. And so, the famous sleuth and his loyal companion, John Watson, were my precious literary companions for many years. So you can probably imagine my excitement when I heard that there was a television, modernized version of the exact same stories I had grown up adoring. Elementary. No. Hold on. That's not right. BBC's Sherlock. This was back not long after the second series had first aired, and the reviews and reports from my friends were all amazing. So I figured, why not? Why not indeed? If you haven't seen this show, just stop watching. Stop watching right now. Go on over to Netflix or the BBC website and watch it. It is an amazing show. It's been praised for its detail-orientedness, filmmaking quality, the acting, the writing, all of it, and it deserves every praise that it gets. You don't even have to be a Arthur Conan Doyle fan to enjoy this show. It is that. You can be absolutely new to Sherlock and still enjoy it. Also, there's only 10 episodes, so what do you have to lose? So if you haven't seen the show, I'm going to be talking about the entirety of the first episode, so spoilers. I was rewatching A Study in Pink the other day, and it got me thinking, a dangerous pastime I know. Name that movie! In a matter of 2 days, John and Sherlock go from complete strangers to roommates. And not just roommates, actually close friends. John decides to trust this crazy guy he met the day before. John, a man who has not reached out to anyone, not his family, not his friends, after he returned home from the war. And he decides to trust Sherlock. Why? Initially, I think, after their first meeting, John is probably intrigued. Sherlock makes this really crazy and fascinating and kind of inexplicable impression on him, and he doesn't really have anything better to do, so he goes. And that starts out one of the most incredible friendships ever written about in fiction. But it could have gone very differently. Throughout this first episode, we see John open up to Sherlock just a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit over there, and by the end of this one day that they've had together, he kills a man to save Sherlock's life. Most of the things that make John open up are shown pretty clearly or explained in the episode. The intrigue, the adventure, the heat of the moment chase around London. It's this battlefield that Sherlock walks in every day that allows John to heal from the war, to know that he's doing something, and he's doing something that's probably even worthwhile to someone. So is this why John trusts Sherlock? Because he needs it? He needs this sort of crazy life? Well, I think it's part of it. I mean, both Sherlock and John feel at home on this sort of battlefield that they live in, where they're doing things that are risky and dangerous, but also have a purpose to them. And in that sense, they are the same. And as human beings, we're more inclined to trust people who are the same as us. So, yeah, I think it has a small part to do with it. But sameness doesn't really seem like a good enough reason to commit murder for someone you met 24 hours earlier. So what is the reason? It's true that Sherlock is blatantly honest with John when they first meet. He tells John about John, and then later explains how he figured out all of that stuff that John knows is true. He doesn't lie up front, and he seems pretty honest to begin with. Blatantly so. But later in the series, well, actually later in the same day, we get to see Sherlock's inclination to lie to get what he thinks he needs or wants to accomplish. John gets to experience it firsthand, and while in one case it works out for the better, right before the end of the episode it does not work out for the good, and Sherlock almost ends up dying because of it. So clearly, John's perception of how trustworthy Sherlock is not really based on how honest he is in his speech. So, how does John come to trust a man who is kind of honest, at best. Let's go back and look at what Sherlock has done so far. In the first day of their friendship, he unabashedly reveals his true character, explains his methods multiple times, shows John the entirety of his lifestyle, introduces John to the person he holds most precious, Mrs. Hudson. He immediately deems John suitable for a flatmate. And then he takes it a step further and invites John not only into his personal life, but into his professional life, thus allowing him into every part of his life within the first 24 hours of meeting him. Sherlock trusts John. Oh, but why should that matter? I mean, he has all those observational powers. He can immediately tell whether John deserves his trust. That's true, but let's think about it from John's perspective. In this same 24-hour people, John has met a lot of other people who are involved in Sherlock's life. And of these people, only Mrs. Hudson has refrained from making a comment about how he doesn't have friends. In fact, Sally and Mycroft went so far as to say that he's incapable of making friends. It is made abundantly clear to John that this is not a man who just invites people into his life. He alienates them, humiliates them, and pushes them away as a... But Sherlock trusts John. And so John trusts Sherlock. He trusts his judgment, believes in his cause, and saves his life. The story of John and Sherlock has been told over many eras, many generations, and pretty much every storytelling medium on the planet. It's been over a century, and we're still retelling it and retelling it and retelling it and retelling it and retelling it over and over for anyone who's willing to listen. So what do you think? Do you have a different theory to answer this question? Share it with me. I'd love to hear it. And consider your story. What factors of a person's character help you decide on their trustworthiness? Is it sameness, honesty, mutual trust, or something else? Share it in the comments section below. And I hope to see you again as our stories live on.